when it comes to suspending bait off the bottom, the high-low rig probably takes the cake as the #1 rig to get the job done. So it works for freshwater, saltwater, brackish water. You can use it for rivers, ponds, lakes, pretty much everything. It's an amazing rig, and I'm going to show you guys how to tie it today. So stay tuned. Hope you enjoy the video. So first thing we're going to do, right, this is our tag end, or this is our very end. This is what you would tie your hook to or whatever. You're going to take about 2 or 3 feet of leader, right? So that's probably a good 3 feet right in there. So we got that. Now we're going to put this over. All right, so now that we have our line here, right, what we're going to do is we're going to make a giant loop with our line here. So it's easier to make the loop bigger when you're first starting out. It's way easier to figure the rig out and to make the knot. So there's our big loop right there. Now we're going to take our tag. Now this is the tag end, all this line here. We're going to have to tie another one of these later and then add our weight. So this is the end, and what we're going to do is we're going to thread this line through this loop 10 times. So I'm going to grab all this here and just throw it under, bring it up. There's 1 time, and if you can see, it made a little loop, right? We're going to go under, under again. Boom. There's 2 loops. And now we're going to keep doing this about 7 or 8 times. So 3. And 8, right there. So now if you notice, we have a giant loop, or giant hole basically, with a ton of loops inside it. So the next step here you're gonna do is sometimes you can kind of pull these and shorten the loops up, make this piece right here a little bigger. But you're gonna find that middle loop. So if you look at it right here, counting these loops, it seems like right in here is kind of one of the middle loops. You're gonna wanna open that loop up like this, okay? Now that's key to open that loop up, because you're gonna be taking this line and putting it through that loop. So the easiest way I found to do it is to actually put your fingers through and kind of open this loop up. See how I did that? Put your fingers through and open it up, then grab this line and you can kind of pull that loop through. That's kind of the easiest way. So you're gonna hold this with your index finger and start to pull on the other line. So you notice once you kind of get this settled and you're pulling your loops, then you really don't have to hold this one anymore, right? So this part can be a little tricky. See how once I got it there, I don't have to worry. I can continue pulling those loops closer and closer. Keep going. And now once I got it here, I don't have to hold it anymore. And if I continue pulling, boom. You see how it's perfect stacks on each side. There's an even amount of stacks. That's another thing to watch for, is you don't want like 8 stacks on this side and then 1 here, right? 4 and 4 is plenty. It's all you need. And then you have that perfect loop in the middle there. So that's the first loop. Now we're gonna go down a foot on our line and we're gonna do that same thing again. So we're gonna make our loop here. All right, now it's gonna be easier because you have less tag line to thread through. So you're gonna do the same thing again. 1. And 8. So there we go, we got the same loops through that again. So like we did last time, right? We're going to put our fingers through that loop. We're going to grab on to this line here. And we're going to pull that loop through. And then using this hand, holding this, we're going to start pulling this loop rig together. And you notice by now I don't have to hold it anymore. And boom, you're locked. So if you notice, the bigger the loop you make, the bigger the original loop like this guy, the bigger this will be. So if you want to make this like a good 6-7 inches, you can pre-make them before you go on the trip, and you can make huge loops to make really big tag ends. I prefer shorter ones like these, especially if you're going to be adding like a snelled hook onto it. You're going to add the loop and then the leader goes out anyway. But if you're just adding hooks, a little bit longer of one can sometimes be really nice. So you have that right there. You got loop number 1, loop number 2, a little bit like a 1.5 foot separation between each other, right? And now you're gonna go down to the end. And if you notice, this is your last loop, and this is your tagline. This is what you're going to be connecting the weight to. Now you can do one of two things, right? You can actually add the weight straight on, or like add a swivel here and then just tie the weight. Either that, or you can actually tie a loop here and then you can switch out whatever weights you want. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that knot. All it is your basic overhand, right? So when you do this, when you make it a loop, bring it through, and you pull that tight, that's the same thing you're gonna be doing, except just with a looped line. So you're gonna loop this here, right? You're going to bring this over, okay? You can kind of do the finger trick again, put it through, grab this line, pull it, kind of bring it this way, and pull tight. Boom. And then obviously here, you're gonna cut your tag end. So I'm gonna grab my scissors here and cut that. Like I say on most of my videos, when you're tying knots, don't cut that tag end really, really close, because sometimes on your first pull, some of that can slip to allow the knot to really lock in place. And if you have no extra there, that's just gonna go bye-bye. So leave a little bit of tag, the fish doesn't care about that. So boom, there you go, you're locked. So now your rig is done without any of your hardware on it, but now we're gonna add the hardware. Alrighty, so now that the rig itself, or at least the knots are all done, now it's time to assemble the rest of the rig. So here's what I have for a weight and for some hooks. The reason why I did this is because I could make the eyelets bigger to fit the paracord here. I was just trying to give you guys a really good visual on this. So we're gonna start with the weight here. So this is the very bottom of the rig. This is the loop we just created. And all you do to add something into a loop is you take the eye of your weight, right? And you first slip the loop through the eye of that weight. Next, and this is why you want to make sure your loops are big enough, you bring this loop and you put it all the way over the bait, or the weight, or hook, or whatever. So I'll do it one more time for you. Loop goes through, and then loop goes all the way over the weight. And essentially what you'll get is when you pull this together, it'll kind of maybe catch, but this is eventually what you're gonna get right here, is this weight perfectly looped. And if you ever wanna change out weights, all you do, you just undo it here, you unloop the weight through, pull it out, and you're good. All right, so one more time, through, looped it over the weight, and pull. So there's your weight. Now we are going to do that same thing, but onto the hooks. So we're going to do loop through the eye here, all right? Loop over the hook, and boom. There is one hook on, right there. Here is our next loop. Loop through the eye, over the hook. Make sure it fits over, and boom. So now you have a perfect high-low rig, right? You have one hook here, you have one hook here, and then you have your weight down below. So basically what will happen, right, is if this is the bottom right here, your first hook is going to be about a foot or so off the bottom, and the next hook was gonna be, this one's a longer leader in between, so this hook's gonna be about 2 or 3 feet off the bottom. All right, so I actually made a high-low rig with actual fishing gear, you know, like an actual rig you would use, just so you guys could see for reference here. We have our weight with our loop connected to the line, right? That goes up a little ways, and obviously you can customize this however you want, but this right here is a size 1 octopus hook connected there. Then you have about, for me, I have about 8 or 10 inches a leader, and then I have the second hook connected on my loop. So that is the rig, because then after that, that's connected to your rod and reel. So boom, there you go. So there you have it. There's the high-low rig. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you found it useful. If there's another rig or not you guys want me to tie, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to make a video on it. So yeah, see you guys next time on Humbug Outdoors Fishing.